Okay, let's go to try it again.
All right, take two. Welcome to the Bible study. Let's pray. Lord Jesus, we need your hand to help us, just this whole thing. And please help us. We're teaching about the tabernacle, and we have no idea because we've never seen it. So we ask for your help in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so
I'm waiting for confirmation that they can hear us.
we're waiting for confirmation that they can hear us. Can anybody hear me? Anybody?
It's like a 10-second delay.
Anybody? It's just one of those days, guys.
Just go.
All right. Chapter 26
I pushed that button.
has a basic outline of 1 through 6 being the tabernacle proper, which is the two-chambered little building, and where all the priestly stuff was done. Verses 7 through 13 would be the tent, which is made of goat's hair, very much like a nomad's tent. And then verse 14 would be a ram skin, badger skin covering. And then verses 15 and onward are going to be all the particulars about this thing. Okay, so that's our outline, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
So I'm going to keep that right there so we can think about it as we go.
Okay.
And I might grab my notepad a little bit later too. So here's what we're going to do. Remember, Moses has been up on the mount. He's going to be up there for 40 days and 40 nights. Chapter 25, the Lord gave him some particular instructions. He says, I need you to take up an offering. We're going to need gold. We're going to need silver. We're going to need linens. We're going to need precious stones, all this stuff. We're going to build a house for me so I can meet with you.
Yep.
And then he gave him the instructions on building the Ark of the Covenant, the table of showbread, and the candlestick. Well, now, what I thought would happen would be that we'd also get instructions on building the little altar of incense, because that's also inside the tent.
Right? Comes next.
It should come next. It should be here, but it's not. We're not going to see it till chapter 30.
It's the strangest thing.
It is. But I figured out what it is. This is on our way out, and then we consecrate and dress our priests, and then the priests come back in.
Oh.
And the altar is one of the last things.
Okay.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to pick up in chapter 26. We're going to have Nat read 1 through 6. We're going to try and figure this thing out together. It's if you're anyway, just go.
Moreover, thou shalt make the tabernacle with 10 curtains of fine twined linen, and blue, and purple, and scarlet, with cherubims of cunning work shalt thou make them. The length of one curtain shall be 28 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits. And every one of the curtains shall have one measure.
Okay, so this is what he's saying. I need 10 curtains. Okay, 10 pieces that are going to be woven of fine needlework, because we're going to find out later that this stuff is made by a skilled, cunning work of a weaver.
Yeah.
And so where I've got scribbles, it's going to look like a tapestry with angels and cherubims worked right into it.
Yeah. Beautiful.
This is a long process, because I didn't even figure up the square foot of this, but I've got 28.
It's massive.
28. I've got 56 cubits by 20 cubits, and every cubit is about 18 inches, give or take. So it's massive. It's a very, very large thing. God has them make them into smaller pieces, probably because that's their loom size, 4 cubits.
Yep.
And then 4 cubits.
Be easy to pull out one if it got dirty or
and
torn.
Start over. Something, get a hole in the roof or whatever, you pull that out and replace it. And so he's got 10 curtains. This is going to be the inside layer of the tabernacle.
And it's what's going to be visible from the inside. Don't do that yet. We're still reading 1 through 6.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he's so excited. Arts and Crafts Day.
Yeah. Sorry.
So the length of one curtain shall be 28 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits, and every one of the curtains shall have one measure. The 5 curtains shall be coupled together one to another, and the other 5 curtains shall be coupled one to another. And thou shalt make loops of blue upon the edge of the one curtain from the selvage in the coupling, and likewise shalt thou make in the uttermost edge of another curtain in the coupling of the second. 50 loops shalt thou make in the one curtain, and 50 loops shalt thou make in the edge of the curtain that is in the coupling of the second, that the loops may take hold of one another. And thou shalt make 50 taches of gold, and couple the curtains together with the taches, and it shall be one tabernacle. Piece of cake.
I don't even think we need to go over that. It was so easy.
It was so easy. You guys got that, right?
All right. All right, so let's just go through this. Moreover, thou shalt make the tabernacle with 10 curtains. We already kind of looked at that.
Yeah.
The 10 curtains are going to be of fine twined linen. Okay, the word tabernacle is mishkan in the Hebrew, and it means a dwelling place. It has the definite article the whenever it is the dwelling place of God.
Oh.
So right now we're just seeing it as a tabernacle, but in most places it's the tabernacle. It doesn't change in our English.
But you know what? I'll tell you what, though. Whenever I was Googling pictures, you get more results if you type in the tabernacle, because they know it's this one.
A tabernacle.
Mm-hmm.
The word curtains is a drape or curtain, so obviously. Fine twined, it comes from a word to twist or twisted. It's the Hebrew word shazar. And I looked this up. I was like, what is this? And it says it's a finely spun threads that are consisted of two or more smaller threads that were twisted together. So the reason it's fine twined is because you get these really fine threads and really fine, and these are twisted and those are twisted, so it all twists together like little ropes. It's important, I guess. The word linen we've covered many times before. It's bleached white, and it's either Egyptian linen or it was byssus, which was the weird strands that come out of that
mussel.
That mussel that lives under the Mediterranean Sea. At this time, Egyptian linen, which is probably what this was, Egyptian linen was 140 thread count in the warp and 64 thread count in the woof per inch. So if you go into Bed Bath & Beyond and you pick up a bed sheet and it says 100 thread count fine Egyptian cotton, that's what this is.
You're going to enjoy your night's sleep.
Yeah, so this is very, very, very nice cloth from
expensive
from Egypt. Yes, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
In Proverbs 31:22, the Proverbs 31 woman.
Yes.
It talks about her working with silk, and it's this word shesh, fine linen. So I want you to understand that I originally made I've got some curtains here I made now. That's why we show them yet. But I used a piece of red paper and it's all red. And then I used a piece of blue paper, it's all blue. A piece of purple paper, it's all purple. It wasn't like that. It literally was a tapestry. And this is talking about the colors of the threads that he wanted them to use. He wanted fine twined linen, which would be white threads, blue threads, purple threads, and scarlet. Red, white, blue, and purple. And we've mentioned before that... No greens, no oranges, no yellows.
No yellows.
No, it's just, that's what it is.
Okay.
With cherubims. Of cunning work shalt thou make them.
So that's embroidery.
Yes, it's embroidery. It's skillful.
This took forever.
Yeah.
We've gone into like, like castles or, things like that, and they'll have the big tapestry. That took somebody years and years and years and years to make.
That's what this is.
Yeah.
All the women were employed in the weaving of this, and we'll actually see it later in chapter like 37 or 38, whenever they go into the making of this, how all the women that were wise and skillful in weaving were doing this. Plus there were some men. There was a friend of Bezalel's who was a skillful weaver, and he was employed to do this. And so he just knew what he was doing. The length of one curtain, it says, shall be 8 and 20 cubits. So how long is that if every cubit is 18 inches? each one was about 42 feet long, and each one was 4 cubits in
about 6 feet.
This way, which was 6 feet, times 5, you get about 30 feet by 42 feet whenever you took all 5 of those and you put them together. And then this would also be 42 feet, no, this way, 42 feet by 30 feet whenever you put it together.
Yeah.
And so you've got just massive amounts
Huge.
of curtains. Yeah. It says that every one of the curtains shall have one measure. In other words, they're all the same. And the reason is because you're gonna put them all together. And so you cut them all the same size, and then you put this one, and you put this one, and you put this one, because you're gonna make a big sheet. So you want them all the same size, just like on my little drawing there.
Yes.
All right, verse 3. The 5 curtains shall be coupled together one to another. So you're going to join these 5, and then you're going to join these 5, and then you're going to join this one to this one.
Yes.
Okay, so he says, the 5 curtains shall be coupled together one to another. The other 5 curtains shall be coupled one to another. And thou shalt make loops
This is how you're going to do it. Yeah. This is how you're going to tie them together with the loops.
Just give me a minute, because there's so much going on in here, and sometimes that's true and sometimes that's not true.
Okay.
So don't jump ahead. You jump ahead, we'll mess it up.
Okay.
We literally have to go verse by verse through this one.
Feeling it.
Yeah. And thou shalt make loops of blue upon the edge of the one curtain from the selvedge in the coupling. And likewise shalt thou make in the uttermost edge of another curtain in the coupling of the second. 50 loops shalt thou make in the one curtain, and 50 loops shalt thou make in the edge of the curtain that is in the coupling of the second, that the loops may take hold one of another. And thou shalt make 50 taches of gold, and couple the curtains together with the taches. Okay, so I'm going to show you a drawing. It's wrong, just based on what I discovered about the goat skins.
Oh,
All
boy.
This is rough, but you'll learn something.
Okay.
So what I originally thought was that I was going to have 1 curtain, 2 curtains, 3 curtains, 4 curtains, 5 curtains, and every one was going to be tied together with loops of blue.
50 Oh, no. It's like this.
Yeah. So what I've got here is I've got a loop of blue, and this other one is more purpley to kind of make it stand out.
But it's also blue.
But it's also supposed to be blue. And then I put a golden tatch in the middle.
We use the word attach.
Yeah, it's a clasp. It's something.
Or a buckle.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't think this is exactly right. Okay.
Sad face.
Well, I'm going to have to show my curtain here.
Okay, show your curtain.
Okay. So here is my curtain. It's kind of been folded a bunch of times. All right.
That color's pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty close. All right, I'm going to fold this in half like this. Now here you can see my 5 curtains. Okay, they're 4 cubits, 4 cubits, 4 cubits, 4 cubits by 28 cubits, 28 cubits all the way across, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach these. Now look, it says the 5 curtains shall be coupled one to another, and other 5 curtains, these other ones that I've already attached them.
Yes.
These shall be coupled together.
Yes.
It doesn't say how.
No, they could be just sewn.
I think they're just sewn. I literally think they're just sewn. At first, I thought that there was blue between each of these little curtains.
That's how I took it.
That's not how it is. The only place where there's blue is attaching this big
Curtain.
group of 5 and this group of 5.
Oh.
And they're going to have blue. Loop.
There's 50 of those.
I'm only going to make a few of them. Is they're going to be attached down the middle like
So
that.
it's literally in order. So if you look at verse 2 and you say the 5 curtains shall be coupled together and the 5 curtains should be coupled together, done. Now we've got 2 curtains.
Now we've got
and you're
2.
going to join them together with 50 blue things in patches.
Right. Now, this group here is called a coupling. Do you know why?
What's called a coupling?
This group right here.
Because you've coupled them together.
And this group is
a coupling.
A coupling.
Because you've coupled them
because
together.
we've coupled them together. And
In
that's going to make a lot of sense. So
and we did that in verse 3 where it says coupled them together, one to another.
Now read verse 4 again. And thou shalt make loops of blue upon the edge of the one curtain from the selvage in the coupling. So this is going to be the selvage.
Yes, it is.
Of the coupling. A selvage.
Aren't you smart?
I pulled my hair out. I have. So a selvage is a finished edge.
Correct.
Whenever you're weaving, you have a finished edge, and then this one will have all the part where it's going to fray on you if you don't fix it. So this is in the selvage right here. Okay, so it says, thou shalt make loops of blue upon the edge of the one curtain from the selvage in the coupling. And likewise thou shalt make in the uttermost edge of another curtain in the coupling of the second.
Yes.
Okay?
I'm with you now.
All right. So having done that, this is how you join them.
So this part's wrong.
Yeah, this part up here
should really be 5 and it'd be more like this.
Yeah,
5 and 5.
That part there doesn't work. This is going to be 5 curtains up here and 5 curtains down here, and they're going to join. And when you zoom in close, we've got 2 loops and 2 loops of blue and a golden tatch.
And we don't know what the tatch is.
Because we haven't got that far.
We haven't got that far.
All right. Now look what it says in verse 5. It says, 50 loops shalt thou make in the one curtain. That's the curtain that's on this coupling. And 50 loops shalt thou make in the edge of the curtain that is in the coupling of the second. That's the second group.
Yes.
That the loops may take hold one of another. So he says, I want these loops to be big enough.
Line them up so they'll line up.
Yeah, exactly right. And thou shalt make 50 tatches of gold, and couple the curtains together with the tatches, and it shall be one tabernacle. He says that phrase over and over again. The tabernacle is one unit. Just like we said before, we're spirit, soul, and body, but that doesn't mean I'm just a spirit that has a soul and lives in a body. I'm all one thing. And the tabernacle is one unit. And God wants them to think of it that way. And so he's like, I want this attached to this. I want this attached to this, because I want everything attached to everything else so that you get the idea that this is one thing.
So the body is fitly joined together.
Ooh, he's making a 1 Corinthians 14 reference. All right, let me jump down here. Catch up to us because we've been going pretty good. Oh, you could get Isaiah 40 verse 22 if you'd like.
Good.
Okay, go ahead and so what we're doing is when we walk into the tabernacle, this curtain is going to go over the whole thing, and it's when we look up, that's the sky. And David and Isaiah and a few of the other writers actually refer to this.
Yeah, so he says in Isaiah 40:22, it is he, talking about God, the Lord, it is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in.
So they would look up. The other thing would be that they would take a gauzy kind of a curtain, and they would stretch it over their courts in the summertime because the sun was so hot, and they would sit under the shade of that curtain, and so it was like heaven was a curtain, and they said that's what it was like for God.
So I have a question before you get too far, and I hate to interrupt. So when you hold up your little pieces of paper, show the piece of paper. So you're showing pieces that are purple and white and blue and red and white.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to have the colors.
Okay, but they're actually all
mixed together.
They're all mixed together. So let me show this picture because I don't want This is a picture that I have. So this is the section we're talking about right now.
This layer here.
This is the fine twined linen with the scarlet
Tapestry.
and the blue, the tapestry.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you're going to have other layers on top, which we're not there yet.
Yeah, we're going to
So, just for sake of clarity, these are not distinct colors in this layer.
I thought that they were when I started on this project. I thought it was going to be a purple and a red and a blue, and then one that was white with fine twined linen work.
Oh.
And as I got working on it, I went, that's kind of stupid.
Just leave that one up.
Yeah. So I said, that's kind of dumb. All right, so I didn't do that. All right, so what we've just done is we have made the curtains of the tabernacle. Okay?
Yes, not the coverings, the curtains.
Correct. And I want to cover the word loops is lule in the Hebrew, and it's related to the Assyrian word lulu. And loops, lule and lulu, it's only used in the plural in the Bible, and the root has the sense of a winding like a spiral staircase. And so just to give you an idea of what they had in mind when they were thinking loops, it's literally loops. Yeah, how crazy is it that Assyrian lulu, English loops, and Hebrew lule, I just love it. Anyway, you guys can just whatever.
I'm just thinking that's got to be a very old word for them all to be so similar.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. What else you got?
Oh, I'm getting it.
He's got pages and pages of stuff.
Well, I want to make sure I didn't skip over anything.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like this too. In verse 5, and where it says that the loops may take hold one of another.
Yeah.
The word for one is isha, which is wife, and the word for another is a choth, which is sister. So it says that the loops may wife and sister.
One another. Yeah.
One another means wife and sister.
Oh.
The word, there is no word one, and there is no word another. It's literally that the loops may wife sister. And I was thinking, if you know anything about construction, we use the same thing today. If we're sistering joints, where we take a stud and we attach it to another stud, or whenever we marry two things together, we use their male and female outlets joining together. We use the same language that they're using here, and this was 1,500 years before Jesus.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool? I like that stuff. A word for take hold is take hold.
Breaks the whole.
Because I look up all the words.
Yeah.
I do. Let's talk about the word tashes for a minute. Tash, think of attachments, as it's got the word in there. Attach is an old French word meaning a hook, a buckle, or a loop. One guy drew it as an S hook, so that you would have a blue loop and a blue loop with an S hook that attaches to both.
Absolutely could be.
It's also related to our word tack, as in a pointed instrument with a sharp point, which is why I drew it more like this, just as a single thing going through, but that's not going to hold if you start moving things. It had to have some kind of a buckly system or claspy system, otherwise it would have pulled apart.
Correct.
All right, we're going to move into the second part, which is the covering known as the tent. It's made out of super black woven goat's hair. And we're going to do 7 to...
so the one that they've got here as white?
Yeah, the one that they've got there is white, which is actually supposed to be goat's hair, so it's going to be black.
Yeah, because that'd be...
I printed that off. I'm going to go grab it. Why don't you read 7 to 13, and I'll be right back.
Alrighty. And don't bump the camera. And thou shalt make curtains of goat's hair to be a covering upon the tabernacle. 11 curtains shalt thou make. The length of one curtain shall be 30 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits, and the 11 curtains shall be all of one measure. And thou shalt couple 5 curtains by themselves, and 6 curtains by themselves, and shalt double the 6th curtain in the forefront of the tabernacle. Oh, that makes sense. And thou shalt make 50 loops on the edge of the one curtain that is outmost in the coupling, and 50 loops in the edge of the curtain which coupleth the second. And thou shalt make 50 taches of brass, and put the taches into the loops, and couple the tent together that it may be one. And the remnant that remaineth of the curtains of the tent, the half curtain that remaineth, shall hang over the backside of the tabernacle. One more.
Yes.
And a cubit on the one side, and a cubit on the other side of that which remaineth in the length of the curtains of the tent. It shall hang over the sides of the tabernacle on this side and on that side to cover it.
Of course. Okay, so the word for covering in verse 7, and thou shalt make curtains of goat's hair to be a covering. The word covering, it's cool. If I actually had it, I would hold it up like this. It's O-H-E-D. It's O-head, or however you say it. And it is the word for nomad's tent. This is an O-head.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're literally making a tent that's supposed to look like this. Keep that in mind.
Oh, amen.
All right.
Yeah.
This is a O-head.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like a nod toward the humanity of Christ almost.
And which I think we took away. So we're gonna get. Let's see. There are a total of 11 curtains.
Not 10?
Not 10, because one is folded up and draped over the front. Okay. So we're gonna join. Now notice that this. You can tell here. We've got 30 and
28.
30 is going to be laying on top of 28, which is going to give you 1 cubit
hanging over
on either side. All right.
29 and 30. 29's on this side, 30's on that side.
Or one's on this side and 30's hanging over there. All right. So that's easy to see because this is 2 cubits longer and this is 2 cubits longer. So we've got 5 here, we've got 6 here.
Yep.
What we're going to do, let me cover up this last one, is we're going to stick the 5 together and these 6 together. And then this last one here that's going to cause problems, we're going to fold in half and have it drape over the front of the tabernacle. Seriously, we are. No, don't do it. So, here's where the colorful curtains are at. Okay? Because they are 28 cubits long, the way it lays over the top of the tabernacle.
He's cutting it in half. He's taking a slice. So if you were to actually cut through this,
like you're cutting a cake
vertically, like you were walking into it, he's showing you a cross section.
I'm showing you a cross section, and it's 10 cubits by 10 cubits by 10 cubits. My curtain is only 28 cubits. It's not going to cover this whole thing. So I'm going to put 9 on this.
But that's good because we don't want to drag it on the ground.
Exactly.
Because that's the fancy fine twine linen. That's expensive stuff.
This is pretty.
It represents deity. And
so what we're going to do with the 30 is the 30 is going to cover and go all the way over
to the ground.
Because it is 10, 10, and 10, which is 30, and it goes all the way to the ground. See there? I hope that makes sense to everybody because that's a lot of drawing.
I got that.
All right. Now let me go back to these here black guys here for a second.
The goat's covering.
The goat's hair covering. And we've talked about goat's hair before. When it's done right, and when it's dry, the air can move through it.
Just like a Bedouin tent.
But when it gets wet, the hair swells and it becomes waterproof. It's a miracle of God, which is why all the Bedouins make their tents out of this stuff. They also, if you remember, they make it in sections. They're Bedouin tents. Remember, we talked about how they could take down a wall, and they would keep adding walls and tearing down walls as a wall would last like 7 years or something. So these are going to have to be replaced, and this, like Nat said, makes it easy to replace individual sections. Just rip out the seam and whatever. Okay, now. Yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to show you how the curtains go. We're going to jump ahead here's my tabernacle.
That's your tabernacle?
This is my tabernacle.
It is shoebox looking.
Okay, it's 10 cubits by 10 cubits by 10 cubits. And then on this side, it's made up of 20 boards that are 1.5 cubits. That gives it 30 cubits on this side.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be a split right around in there somewhere, and this is going to be the Holy of Holies room, and then this will be the holy sanctuary at the front.
Mm-hmm.
And then the priest would come in from this side, and he would go back into the Ark of the Covenant back in here.
This side.
Okay.
And there's going to be an inner curtain that's hanging across that seam.
It's hanging across that seam. Okay, so what we're going to do, if I can remember how I did this, is we've got to cover.
Yep, like that.
Okay. So this is the front going in. So this is going to have some pillars standing here, and it's going to have what's called the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's going to be hanging here. So these, and you'll notice where my split is at. My split is right here over where the Holy of Holies is at.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's good planning right there.
Exactly right, because it's going to be right over top of the veil.
Yeah.
Okay. So this will open up, and then this
Kind of just tucks around there.
kind of tucks under here. If this was cloth, you'd see it. That it wouldn't quite touch the ground. You'd have a cubit left over, just like you have a cubit left over under here, and you have a cubit left over on this side, so it doesn't touch the ground. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take my goat's hair and see how I've been very diligent. I've got 6 of them here.
Yes, you did.
And I've got 5 of them here.
Yep.
Okay. And what I've done is I've put them together. So let's get to that part, and we'll talk about putting them together. It says, "And thou shalt make curtains of goats' hair to be a covering upon the tabernacle, 11 curtains. The length of one curtain shall be 30 cubits, the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits, and the 11 curtains shall all be the same measure." So these are 4 cubits. These are 4 cubits.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
"And thou shalt couple 5 curtains by themselves, 6 curtains by themselves. And thou shalt double the 6th curtain."
It means folded in half.
Folded in half. It literally is the word for fold in half. So we're going to take the one at the front, and we're going to fold it in half, and it's going to fold over, and it's
in the forefront of the tabernacle.
it's going to hang over just like this in the forefront of our tabernacle. Okay, and then it says, "And thou shalt," where am I at?
You're in 9.
Double the 6th curtain in the forefront, "and thou shalt make 50 loops on the edge of the one curtain that is outmost in the coupling." In other words, at the end of the group of 6,
Yep.
you're going to go ahead and you're going to make loops. Guess what? Those are probably going to be blue loops again.
They're going to be blue loops, but
And-
brass attaches.
And brass attachments. And 50 loops in the edge of the curtain that couple it with it from the group of 5. And you're going to put the loops, and you're going to put brass attaches down the middle, and you're going to join them all together. They can be one.
That's right.
And so what will happen is this will hang
I want
over.
you to read the next one, though. Read verse 12.
Verse 12, "And the remnant that remaineth of the curtains of the tent shall hang over the backside of the tabernacle."
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
So what I've got is a completely covered black tent this way,
Yeah.
which is really amazing. It's really cool. Okay, when it says the half curtain in verse 12, "The remnant that remaineth of the curtains of the tent, the half curtain that remaineth shall hang over the backside." Now that is where I ran into all my trouble, because I could get this little guy folded in the front, but I couldn't get a single one to fold over the back. And then I realized
That's a coupling curtain.
that word is referring to a coupling curtain.
Yeah.
So here's what I've got.
Yep.
Well, we're going to back up. We're going to do it real easy. So here's my 30 cubits long. Okay, this is my Holy of Holies 10 by 10. 10 cubits high. This is my sanctuary, the holy place, which is 20 cubits. 20 cubits is perfect for my 4 cubits times 5 to lay right on top of there.
Yep.
And then I'm going to have blue loops with gold taches. And then I'm going to have my other 5 curtains. 1, 2, 3 wraps around, 4, 5, and it hangs off the ground.
Yeah, which is great because that corner's covered.
Yes. Okay. But now this one here it's 20, so it's this is actually 5 times 4 is 20, so it's actually coming probably to the ground there.
Yeah.
Okay. So then this one here is my 6, and the reason I know that this is my group of 6 is because the one in front has one that is folded over. And it's doubled over. So this curtain here is actually 4 cubits, but it's folded 2 and 2. And then I keep going across 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. Oh, there's my 20. I put my blue loops and I put my brass taches. And then over here I've got 4 cubits, 2 cubits, because that equals 10. This one here wraps around the corner. Isn't it amazing that God doesn't have the seam on the corner?
That's what I just said. It'd be great for keeping water.
Yeah. You wrap around. So then this one goes around this way. There's the end of my 3rd curtain, my 4th curtain, my 5th curtain.
Goes to the ground.
And it goes to the ground. It's amazing. So that took me forever to try and figure out exactly what was going on because when it says that the back side of that 2nd curtain hangs over, he's talking about this.
Yeah.
He's
the coupling curtain.
The whole coupling curtain. The coupling is the big curtain, not the little individual ones.
Correct.
All right.
Good stuff.
Verse 13.
You know, if you just read this like what I just read this, in my mind I have a general idea and I just kind of go through and gloss over. When you start saying, okay, I have to figure out how to make this thing work, it can get confusing. Wait till you get to the tab.
This is what's cool.
To the temple.
This is what's cool. I've got exactly 1 cubit of black all the way around my thing. It's exactly 1 cubit. I actually did my paper to scale, and so I've got 1 cubit all the way around when I lay it down on top.
No, you don't. Because this one's doubled.
Well, this.
And then this one lines up at the back.
Okay, if this is 44, because I got 11 times 4 is 44. Now I've got to fold this, and I got 42.
Oh.
This is 20 plus 20 is 40.
Oh.
So I've got 1 cubit all the way around if it's folded.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, it is neat.
It's crazy. And I've been playing with crafts. Megan helped me. All right, where are we at?
Did she really?
She's out there showing us.
We're going to have to get her an honorary chasing the crumbs. Or chasing the nuggets.
Chasing the nuggets. This is so many nuggets. All right, let's look at verse 13. A cubit on the one side and a cubit on the other side of that which remaineth in the length of the curtains of the tent. That's what I just said. It shall hang over the sides of the tabernacle on this side and on that to cover it. Now here's where we get confused. It says, and thou shalt make a covering for the tent of ram skins dyed red of unknown size, and a covering above of badger skins of unknown size.
So that's this one and this one. This one.
Yeah, I see the little arrow.
Dyed. Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, dyed red.
Dyed red.
And then badger skins. Dyed red on top of the goat skin.
Should be black.
All right. And so, yes. And
it doesn't list a size?
It does not.
Because it doesn't matter. Just make it a covering.
It's a covering. But it actually, notice how what they did in this picture behind me was they had the curtain come. How do I do that?
You point toward me. Point me.
Point toward me.
Toward you.
So it comes down and it does this, and they join it. But I could have made this curtain here. I could have brought this all the way out here to the wall of the outer curtain.
You could have.
And I could have connected it.
You could have.
And we're going to see where there's a good possibility that that's what happened.
Yeah, because they don't give the measurements, and it's a covering.
Yes. Let's keep going.
Okay, that's neat.
All right. And thou shalt make... Oh, you should read verse 15 to 25.
And thou shalt make boards for the tabernacle of shittim wood standing up. 10 cubits shall be the length of a board, and a cubit and a half shall be the breadth of one board. 2 tenons shall there be in one board, set in order one against another. Thus shalt thou make for all the boards of the tabernacle. And thou shalt make the boards for the tabernacle, 20 boards on the south side southward. And thou shalt make 40 sockets of silver under the 20 boards, 2 sockets under one board for his 2 tenons, and 2 sockets under another board for his 2 tenons. And the second side of the tabernacle on the north side, there shall be 20 boards, and there 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And for the sides of the tabernacle westward thou shalt make 6 boards, and 2 boards shalt thou make for the corners of the tabernacle in the 2 sides. And they shall be coupled together beneath, and they shall be coupled together above the head of it unto one ring. Thus shall it be for them both. They shall be for the corners. And they shall
one
be
ring to rule them all.
It really is. And they shall be 8 boards, and their sockets of silver, 16 sockets, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And if you've never heard that before, right now your mind's going,
It's a Hobbit reference.
no, not that. I mean the sockets and the tenons and the silvers and the...
Oh, it's so exciting. It's so exciting.
But this is good stuff.
This is so good.
Let's go.
All right, so let's go back up to 15. And thou shalt make boards for the tabernacle of shittim wood. And we've talked about shittim wood. It's acacia wood.
Yeah.
It's light. It's hardy. It doesn't rot. It resists
Yeah.
warping. It's like oak. Oak.
Hard.
Hard, but not as heavy.
And it's weatherable.
And it's weatherable.
Yeah.
All right, and we're talking about these boards standing up. Now that's a good clue because we're gonna put them standing up. We're not gonna lay them down like this.
No.
When
They're not floorboards. They're wall boards.
I want you to see how stupid I was. Look what I started.
Oh my, you did them this way.
I started building them up the side of a wall like this, and no, they go this way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it says at 10 cubits shall be the length of a board. Now, a cubit is about 18 inches, so a foot and a half.
15
So
feet.
if it says 10, it's 15. All right, so 15, so you can see my little guy down here. He's 5 feet, 10 feet, 15 feet
That's
high.
about as tall as Og, King of Bashan, if you're curious. I think he was 16.
I think what's impressive about this is whenever you walk into the tabernacle, it was very
Tall.
The ceilings in this room are about 8
8.
feet,
Mm-hmm.
so it's going to be about
Almost double.
twice what a normal ceiling is in a living room.
In a house, yeah.
It's very
These
high.
are cathedral. And they don't make acacia wood. If you were going to cut planks, you would have to cut that plank out of a redwood tree.
Yes.
Okay, so they're going to have to...
You should have seen the commentators. They had larger acacia trees back then. No, they didn't, buddy.
No, you just have to cut a lot of things
Planks.
and put them together.
Seal them together, just like we did with the curtains to
Just
make
like
a
we
giant
did with this
curtain.
table.
Yes, just
This
like,
table is made out of multiples that
Of
have
oak,
been
yeah.
that have been put together and assembled.
Mhm. So that's what we're going to do. And the reason we're doing this is because the tabernacle is supposed to be mobile.
Yes.
You have to take it down and you have to move it. And God said, this will be heavy. It'll make somebody's back hurt, but it won't kill them.
Right.
So it's movable.
It's movable.
All right. So 10 cubits shall be the length of the board. A cubit and a half shall be the breadth of one board. So 18 inches wide.
What?
A cubit and a half. Oh, wait. A cubit and a half is
27
27
inches.
inches. So 2 foot 3.
So, yeah.
Shall be the breadth of one board. Now it says 2 tenons shall there be in one board,
Right.
set in order one against another.
Right.
Thus shalt thou make for all the boards of the tabernacle.
Right.
Now remember, this is talking about down here underneath the base.
How are we going to get it to stand up?
Okay? And for those who don't know what a tenon is, this is what a tenon is, and it goes into a mortise, which is a hole in something else. And in our
And they
particular
just fit into it.
fit perfectly into it. And so we're just going to go mwah, and it's going to sit there. And what it's going to go into, we're going to see in a little bit, is a silver socket for each one of those tenons. There's 2 tenons on each plank. Each tenon is going to go into a block of silver that weighs about 75 to 100 pounds.
Yeah.
75 to 100 pounds. So you got 150 to 200 pounds of silver underneath of this. You think about the pounds.
Yeah.
Not $200, 200 pounds.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that as we get a little bit further on. And it says, and thou shalt make the boards for the tabernacle, 20 boards on the south side southward. So as we walk into the front of our tent, we walk in from east to west.
The sun can shine into it.
East to west. And so the south side will be facing me north. So and as I look at it, it's just 20 planks standing up vertical.
Yeah. Before you put the coverings on it, it's just boards.
It's just boards. And
I should have put that picture.
And they're going to look like this, 20 boards in sockets of silver down underneath. Whoa.
Just go ahead.
Okay. I do want to make a joke here for a second. It says, and thou shalt make the boards for the tabernacle, 20 boards on the south side southward. Now,
did that throw you?
No, but God bless Barnes. Barnes is a wonderful commentator, but he's one of the old guys. And he said what this says in the Hebrew is on the south side, on the right side southward. Okay, because south is on the right.
No, it'd be on the left.
Well, I know. So he was quoting Josephus. And of course, we know that Josephus is a wonderful historian for the Jewish people, but there's a lot of times whenever he's just bonkers and he doesn't agree with the Bible. So you got to keep that in your mind. Take him with a grain of salt. And on this particular case, he says that there is the south side of the tabernacle, which is the normal south side. And then there's the south side southward, because in the tabernacle, it would be the south side that would be on your right, which is the north side.
Oh boy.
And he got all confused, and so he's trying to make the south side southward, the north side. But then it just says a couple of verses later, it says for the second side of the tabernacle on the north side, there should be 20 boards. So sometimes you have to just listen. You know, you read the commentators, you listen to them, and then you take them and you just set them aside because they think too much sometimes. Anyways, I can do that. Verse 19. There's 20 boards, which is 30 cubits, because each board is 1.5 cubits. And thou shalt make 40 sockets of silver under the 20 boards. That means there's 2 sockets for every board. Just like in this picture, 2 sockets, one under every tenon. 2 sockets under one board for his 2 tenons, and 2 sockets under another board for his 2 tenons. And for the second side of the tabernacle, on the north side, there shall be 20 boards, and there 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And for the sides of the tabernacle westward. Now, if the east is the side we go in, the west is the back side. This side back here that gives me all kinds of fits, right? All right. This west side says, thou shalt make 6 boards. Now, 6 times 1.5 is only 6 plus 3 is 9. That's only 9 cubits. To me, it was too narrow, so I couldn't figure out what was going on there. Oh, and 2 boards shalt thou make for the corners of the tabernacle.
Here, duck aside.
In the two sides.
So here you've got your vertical boards.
That's pretty nice.
You got your vertical boards down here at the bottom. You've got a clump of silver, and that's going to have 2 holes in it to receive the 2 tenons. And then it's going to have we're going to talk about these eventually. That's the things that are thrust.
Those are the bars. We haven't got to the bars yet.
We haven't got to those yet. And they cut a window in here so you can take a look on the inside.
Yeah.
I'll leave that up.
And then on this is the east side. As you go in, there's 5 tall shittim pillars, but they're actually on brass, which we've already explained is bronze sockets down here.
So silver on the sides and
All right, so here's actually how the sockets are laid out. For those of you who are detail oriented, there's 20 boards on the north, 20 boards on the south, which is 40 sockets and 40 sockets. And this board here, you can't have two boards taking up the same space. So in between this last board and this last board, we're going to put these ones. And it says there's going to be 6, but there's going to be 2 that act as corners, which gives us a total of 8 boards, which is 16 sockets.
Yes.
So I've got 40 sockets, 16 sockets. And then inside at the veil that separates, there's 4 pillars, and each one of them has a silver socket. So we actually have 100 sockets of silver. Each one weighs a talent, so it's about 75 to 100 pounds of silver. And then there's 5 brass sockets at the front.
The talent was the largest unit of weight
Sewer
for
lid.
silver.
It was a sewer lid.
Well, I mean, it was
big.
I don't know, but it wasn't flat. It was
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. But think about how much
I'm thinking of a cinder block of size, but
Yeah.
silver.
Yeah.
Very heavy.
Very heavy.
But toteable.
Just an aside, because everybody likes asides. If you think about a talent of silver, in Matthew 18, chapter 18, verse 21 to 25, there was a gentleman who owed 10,000 talents. Wow. Which would come to at least 204 metric tons of silver, or 60 million denarii. In other words, Jesus was using it as an illustration. It wasn't a real story.
We do the same thing. He owed $1 bazillion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 through 30, the parable of the talents. The guy who possessed 5 talents possessed, I figured it up, the cost. Each one of those talents was probably, because it was about 75 pounds.
Yeah.
75 pounds of silver is about $26,000 today at $24 an ounce. Times 5, it was about $130,000.
Did you use troy ounces or regular ounces?
I actually used
60?
real ounces, not troys, because I was using 75 pounds.
Very good.
Not troy ounces. Holy smokes.
Good stuff.
Oh.
So it was very expensive.
Yeah, very expensive to do this whole thing. Okie dokie. So let me talk to you for a second about the 20 boards on the north side, easy. 20 boards on the south side, easy. This 6 boards on the west side is a problem. I took my 6 boards and I just did them this way.
You can't see that.
No, there's nothing on there. It's just a white box.
I was gonna say,
Just a white box. But I put them on this side. But here's the problem. I'm making the assumption that this is 10 cubits. Oh, I hope it's 10 cubits, because it messes up my curtains if it's not 10 cubits. But, and this is one of those sticky areas. Let's look at it. In 22, it says, "For the sides of the tabernacle westward, thou shalt make 6 boards." If they're 1.5 cubits, that's 9 cubits. All right? I need 10 cubits, so I'm still a half a cubit short and half a cubit short.
Because you got that overlap.
Because I got the overlap. It says, "And 2 boards shalt thou make for the corners of the tabernacle in the 2 sides." Now those could be the same width of 1.5 cubits. But if I do that, then I'm adding 3 more cubits. I'm up to...
Okay, you're going to lose your audience. But you're right.
You know what I'm saying? Because now if those 2 boards, now I'm up to a total of 8 boards. And what's 8 times 1.5? That's 12 cubits instead of 10. And I've overshot by 2.
I'm glad you're not building it.
Well, no, it's 10.
Okay.
But it's just how do we get there?
Right.
So one guy, we're going to talk for a little bit about Har Karkom.
Har Karkom.
I don't think we're going to go too long on this, all right?
Mm-hmm.
But Har-Karkom, what would you say if I said to you that there is an area in the desert area of southern Israel where the rain never falls, and where, get this, every tent that has ever been built there, you can see the outline of, including the tabernacle?
What are you talking about?
Har-Karkom.
I don't know what that means.
There is an area in the south by the Dead Sea where these guys were out there looking, and they noticed that you could what it is it's hard packed soil with pebbles on top. And they get out there, and they're archaeologists, and they get out there and they're looking at it, and
They're like treasure trove.
Oh, you can see literally going back thousands of years, you can see a tent right there.
Where people would outline and then build it.
Where the people would, because of their tent and their tent stakes and the way the pebbles would be moved, the paths are all there. There are like Paleolithic pathways right beside of a modern road, because nothing ever moves the stuff around. There's no hard rains.
Wow.
It just sits there.
Okay.
So these guys got out there, and I tried Har-Karkom. Har-Karkom. So these guys, they got out there, and they found one of these areas, and they laid down some white ribbon, and they said, "Holy smokes, this looks like the tabernacle."
Wow.
3,000 years old. And so they said, if that's the tabernacle, let's make a computerized generator. So this is what they found etched in the pebbles of the ground.
Huh.
Right. So what they did, now of course all they had was white ribbons and holes, but it formed this shape. But look at what they did on this back corner. It wasn't straight across, it had an angled corner for that eighth corner. Now, I'm not saying this is the legitimate tabernacle. We don't know, but this is a second idea. All right. Now, having said that, they took this stuff here and they joined it to the outer wall, the outer curtain of the outer court that goes around it. Okay. Now let's look for a second at verse 24. And these boards at the corners shall be coupled together beneath, and they shall be coupled together above the head of it unto one ring. Thus shall it be for them both. They shall be for the two corners. Well, it's an
for two corners.
Interestingly enough, when you build a nomad's tent, you have a thing in here that looks like this. And this is one of the tent things that goes out.
That would be one of your pegs to hold the whole thing up.
Right. So the ring that they're joining to is this one. And it comes through here, and it goes across there, and it goes there, and it goes to the one ring in the corner. Thus, joining the tent to there. Because remember, this is what the ram skin and the badger skin is going to lay on top of, and we don't have any idea. So their final picture of the tabernacle looked like, well, you could see the green stuff showing through, but you can see where the red,
right there,
which they said would look, as an artist impression, would look like this.
Huh.
And so they're saying it would look more. Now, I've got a couple of problems with this.
Mm-hmm.
And the problems I have with this are, we don't have any idea how tall the pillars are. There are 4 pillars in front of the Holy of Holies, and then there are 5 at the east gate, which would be, according to this picture, way over here. We don't know that those pillars are the same size. They could have been graduated so that there was a tall one in the middle. And one of my commentator guys said that the top one would probably be like 70 feet high. But from the outside, if you were looking at it, it would, where's my,
I don't know.
No. It would look more like the Bedouin's tent, because this would be your pillars. There'd be 2 tall pillars and 2 smaller pillars on the inside.
They don't tell how tall those are.
They don't tell how tall they are. So we're all assuming they're the same size, but they could be.
Because we're Easterners, and that's how we build tents.
This is how they build tents. They build it like this so the water will run off and not pool on top of that thing. And if
Right.
it was like this and we had rain, the whole thing would cave in, or snow or whatever.
We try to make it look like a building.
Exactly. So they're going to have the taller pillars in the middle, and then these would also be graduated top, high to low across the front, which is why there's 5 of them. And you'd have one central high one, and they'd go off to the sides. And then these would latch on to the outer court. Do we know that that's right? Or do we know that this big square boxy thing that's going to soak in, it's going to sink in the middle as soon as a heavy rain hits? That's water going to leak in all over there, right? So
It doesn't look Bedouin.
that does not look Bedouin. So anyway, these are just some thoughts to keep in mind, and I really like that guy. We don't have a picture of it, but there's certain.
That's a different way.
See, and there's another way of looking at it. Look, that looks more like a tent, and they joined it to the outer curtain again for the outer court.
So I did see something where a guy had. He said, if you've got these walls, the one ring would be for wall integrity, and he had it literally kind of floating above the middle and joining to the corners, so it would be like smack dab floaty here, and everything would kind of bind to it
like a spider web on the top,
so that you would keep the walls from collapsing that way. And you could then put tent pegs in.
And it would also act to hold up the curtain.
Right.
We don't know what that ring is.
There's one ring, but we don't know what it does.
We don't know where the one ring is, and obviously it was important, but we don't have a picture of it.
Ask Frodo.
I think it was. I think what that guy said is going to the corner.
But it could be, yeah.
But it could be.
Well, you know what? If we could ever see like a Bedouin tent broken down, I wonder if they've got a ring in them.
Well, that's why.
Because I would think I can remember in my mind's eye being inside of like a circus tent and having a giant
ring up there.
Ring with lots of wires coming off of it.
You're exactly right.
And that makes me think of that.
It makes me think of that too. And the guy who did the ark or the tabernacle from Har Karkom, his website's really good, and he does go into how do you build a Bedouin tent.
Oh boy!
And so I just haven't had time. It's this.
Why not?
Because I was doing all the drawings.
50 pages.
All right, let's go. Keep going. So we don't know where the one ring is. It could have been one ring in the center of the holy ceiling going out, or it could have been one ring joined outside at the back corners, one ring there and one ring there. We're not sure. All right, but there had to be a way that it was joined at the top. Anyways. 25, and they shall be 8 boards. This is the west side, the back end, and their sockets of silver, 16 sockets. 2 sockets under one board, 2 sockets under another board. All right, read 26 down to 30, I guess.
Yeah. And thou shalt make bars of shittim wood, 5 for the boards on the one side of the tabernacle, and 5. I'm sorry, let me read it again. And thou shalt make 5 bars of shittim wood, 5 for the boards on the one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards on the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the sides of the tabernacle for the 2 sides westward. And the middle bar in the midst of the boards shall reach from end to end, and thou shalt overlay the boards with gold, and make their rings of gold for places for the bars, and thou shalt overlay the bars with gold, and thou shalt rear up the tabernacle according to the fashion thereof which we showed thee in the mount.
So what we've got, the word for bars is, whenever you think of barring a door, and they take that giant bar and it comes down across the door, it's a big, thick bar. And so what you would have is you'd have the...
Is it these things here? Like?
Oh, yeah. You got one right there.
These things here.
Yeah, but you have 5 of them.
Yeah.
There's 2 above, 2 below, and then one goes from end to end, which is what he's doing right here. All right?
Yeah.
And that is going to... That is going to act, because right now, all these planks are just sitting there.
Yeah.
There's lots of play. So what you got to do is you got to get them so that they're stuck together somehow.
Lock 'em
And
into
what
place.
we're going to do is we're going to lock them together with a bar. So let's read through that again. Thou shalt make bars of shittim wood. We know how long they have to be. The big one goes from end to end, so he's going to be 30 cubits, and the other ones are just smaller than that. All right, 5 for the boards of the one side of the tabernacle on the north, and 5 bars for the boards of the other side of the tabernacle on the south, and 5 bars for the boards of the side of the tabernacle
Westward.
and for the 2 sides westward. So as you walk into my tabernacle, this is westward.
Yeah, that's the west.
That's westward.
Yeah, so you're going to have 5, but they'll obviously be shorter because it's a smaller wall.
Yeah. And the other 2 sides westward. The reason I'm pausing is
Because it said 2 sides westward.
2 sides westward. So that would be like if I'm walking in this way, I'm going to put bars on the inside here to prevent stability on the front. Okay,
Maybe.
remember, I don't have a roof. There is no roof on the tabernacle. It's like an open box, and there's no floor. There's no wooden floor for this thing.
Well, I don't know. Look at verse 22, man.
22, and for the size of the tabernacle westward, what am I doing? Thou shalt make.
It doesn't say for the side of the tabernacle westward. It says for the sides of the tabernacle westward.
Yeah, I know.
It's so weird.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking it is maybe there's. Well, we know there's no floor. The floor is just dirt and pebbles and stuff. And then there's no roof. It's just the curtains. And so the westward is going to be, you're going to put the bars on the outside, and then there's something on the inside here.
Maybe. That's how you think it is.
That's how I think it is.
I have no idea.
But I don't know. It's this one here, trying to visualize, was so much fun because anyway, let's keep going.
And no matter who you look at online, they all compromise somewhere in order to just get something on paper.
Yeah. And 5 bars for the. All right, we already did that.
Yeah.
Westward. Okay, and the middle bar in the midst of the board shall reach from end to end, just like that guy has there. And thou shalt overlay these boards, these horizontal bars, with gold.
Yeah.
The shittim boards are covered with gold. Why can't this guy didn't cover his with gold?
I know. I just thinking that.
Yeah, slacker.
Yeah.
All right. He says, and shall overlay the boards with gold and make their rings of gold for places for the bars, and thou shalt overlay the bars with gold. So each of these bars is going to go through rings
Of gold.
on each of those. Rings of gold.
But I want you to understand though, all of these boards, this whole thing is overlaid with gold.
The whole thing. When they spoiled the...
You had to cover it or the glint from the sun would be blinding.
So, yeah. So I've got 2 rings. There's a ring, but there's a total of 5 rings. All right. And so and you just slide the bars through and then heave and they'd lift it up. And then they'd go over to the other side, they'd heave and they'd lift the wall up. And then they'd heave the back end up. They join them together at the tops. And
With the ring?
With the ring, whatever that is, and they pull the curtains over it.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. All right.
It took some doing to do it.
Yeah. All right. Verse 30, and thou shalt rear up the tabernacle according to the fashion thereof, which was showed thee in the mount, which I haven't seen, so I have an excuse. All right. Why don't you finish it up?
All it?
Yeah.
And thou shalt make a veil of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen of cunning work with cherubim shall it be made. And thou shalt hang it upon 4 pillars of shittim wood overlaid with gold. Their hooks shall be of gold, upon the 4 sockets of silver. And thou shalt hang up the veil upon the taches, that thou mayest bring in thither within the veil the ark of the testimony. And the veil shall divide unto you between the holy place and the most holy. And thou shalt put the mercy seat upon the ark of the testimony in the most holy place. And thou shalt set the table without the veil, and the candlestick over against the table on the side of the tabernacle toward the south, and thou shalt put the table on the north side, and thou shalt make an hanging for the door of the tent of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen wrought with needlework. And thou shalt make for the hanging 5 pillars of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold, and their hooks shall be of gold, and thou shalt cast 5 sockets of brass for them.
Okay, so
That's not hard.
Yeah, it's not hard. Well, basically, we've got 2 big curtains. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One of the curtains hangs back here in the back from these pillars that are on silver sockets, and we don't know how tall these are. Okay, there's no indication that these are 10 cubits. They could be 12. They could be 15. They could be 30. Idea. It could be like a tent, like a circus tent. But the veil hangs here. And the veil is called the veil because it's the thing that separates man from God, and it hides God's face from so that we can't see him. All right? When Jesus died on the cross, when he said, "It is finished," there was a great earthquake, and the veil was rent from the top to the bottom.
Yes.
And that veil, according to the historians of the time, because we don't have the thickness listed in here,
right,
was said to be 6 to 8 inches thick.
It would take two
teams of oxen.
2 teams
to tear it like that. And it wasn't torn by the earthquake because it would have torn from the bottom. And this tore from the top, like God said, "It's finished." And he opened the way for all men to come into the presence of God, not just the high priest. Because Jesus, our high priest, had walked in, sat down at the right hand of God after having made an atonement for our sins. And now there is no sin barrier that separates us. And so that veil represents the sin barrier that separates us. But anyway, it's in the fancy place, so he's saying make it all pretty and everything. But he says, "Thou shalt make a veil of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen of cunning work." Same thing. It's woven, it's thick, and it's the same stuff that the curtains are made of. "With cherubim shall it be made. And thou shalt hang it upon 4 pillars of shittim wood," the ones right here, "overlaid with gold. Their hooks shall be of gold upon the 4 sockets of silver." So this has hooks on it that the veil will hang from. "And thou shalt hang up the veil under the taches." Now, if you remember from here,
I'm showing him a picture.
What are you doing?
I'm showing him a picture.
Oh, yeah. There we go. I can't point to that, though.
You could if you tried.
I disappear.
Oh, let me drag it to the back.
Yeah.
Now you can.
Okay. All right. So this is the curtain right here. Okay, and it's hung on the 4 pillars in the back. You can see the 4 pillars, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's hung by golden hooks up there.
Yeah, you can see them. They're real small.
And there's the little cherubim is what's supposed to be on here, and this is under the taches. And over here you could see, remember how it was under the taches that were gold and under the taches that were brass. And it hangs right underneath of there. All right. "That thou mayest bring in thither within the veil the ark of the testimony." So he says this. He says, you can't bring in the ark until the veil is hung up, because otherwise what? The presence of God is going to break forth and he's going to kill everybody.
Yeah.
You got to have the veil first.
Veil goes up.
All right. "And the veil shall divide unto you between the holy place," which is this first area, and then as you go up, back in here, as you go westward, you get into the Holy of Holies, the most holy place where the ark is going to go. "And thou shalt put the mercy seat upon the ark of the testimony in the most holy place." So once the ark goes back through up into this little room, then you take the mercy seat, the lid of the box, and you drop it on there. "And thou shalt set the table without the veil." In other words, there's a table that's going to be on this side.
Without means outside.
Right.
You'll see that over and over in Scripture. Like you go without the camp to Jesus.
It doesn't mean with and without.
It doesn't mean like we say,
yeah.
"Oh, I'm without something."
Set it outside the veil.
It just means outside.
So here's outside the veil. Here's the table of showbread on the north side. And the candlestick over against the table, there it is, on the tabernacles toward the south. And thou shalt put the table on the north, and so we see where the south is. And then there's also the the altar of incense is going to go right here, but we haven't got there yet. All right, and then thou shalt make.
They've got it in the wrong spot.
They've got it here, and it should be up right in front of the veil.
In front of it.
All right, and then this is going to be the front.
That's the door.
This is the door to get in, and there's 5 pillars. And again, we don't know the heights. It could be higher, so it looks more like a circus tent. I really like that idea. And this doesn't have to be a thick veil. This is just a curtain, just a hanging, it says.
Yep.
Thou shalt make a hanging for this door, for the door of the tent, of blue and purple and scarlet, fine twined linen wrought with needlework. And thou shalt make for the hanging 5 pillars of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold, and their hooks shall be of gold, and thou shalt cast 5 sockets of brass for them. And so that's how the sockets of brass for them, that was these sockets that are underneath of the pillars. All right.
You know, it's interesting that, this is all building stuff. So when we talk about these original boards, these guys, it tells you 10 high, 1.5 wide,
Yep.
but it doesn't tell you how deep it is.
It doesn't tell you the
So when you
thickness.
look in this picture, look how deep they made it just to give it some structural integrity. Could be not.
Yeah.
I mean, it had to you wouldn't want to make them a 1/4 inch, but, 3-4 inches, maybe 8 inches, in order to have some integrity to the building.
I had come across a thing. I think there was like 13 measurements that weren't given. So like the ram skins and the badger skins covering wasn't given. The thickness of the boards wasn't given. We don't really even have. We don't have the size of the tatches. We don't have the thickness of the loops.
Right.
There's many different things, but think of the infinite number of details.
Oh my word.
So that's why God kept saying, make it after the pattern. I showed it to you so you would know, because a picture's worth 1,000 words. So he just showed him the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so next week, what we're going to do, remember, God works inside out. So we've seen that God started with the ark, and then he went to the table of showbread and the candlestick, and now we've built a structure and a tent and a covering, and we've worked. Notice how again we worked our way out. The curtain was first, and then the goat skin the goat hair tent. The tent proper, and then
the
ram skins dyed red, and then the badger skins on the outside.
Yep.
And God always works from the inside, from his presence outward. And so what we're going to see next time is we're going to work out, and we're going to be on the outer court with the instruments that are out there, the altar and the laver and those things. And then again, just like with this one, we did the furniture, and then we did the structure. We're going to do the furniture, the altar and the laver, and then we're going to do the structure. And then we're going to it's awesome. It's amazing. Every piece of this, when God chooses words, you got to think, when he says this has got to be blue, there's a reason for it.
Yeah, we don't know what it is.
Dig into it. If he says purple, I kept thinking that this is like a human body, because inside I've got white fat, I've got red muscles, I've got blue-purple veins.
Ooh, that's weird.
Okay.
That's cool.
But then I've got 3 layers of skin. I've got my dermis, subdermis, I've got...
And then you got your badger skin.
And then I've got my hairy badger skin on the outside. And I just kept thinking, oh, this is just like a body. And...
Could be.
It's so much in here. So much in here. I just love it. Anyway, I hope you had a good time. And we covered it all in one time. One shot.
Really long time.
Yeah, that's all right. Go ahead and pray.
Dear Lord, thank you for the day. Thank you for the Bible study. In Jesus' name, amen.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.